Okay.
Awesome.
And where are you located?
I am in the northeast Georgia mountains, Blairsville, Georgia, near Hiawassee.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We play that venue
Yeah.
um, in
Yep.
Hiawassee. It's a pretty cool little place.
Oh, it is. It's right there at the fairgrounds, out in the country, and I didn't get to go to the last one, but I believe my buddy said y'all were with Little Texas a few years ago
You
at
know,
that one, I think,
it might have been Exile.
or Exile. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. It was Exile, and I feel like y'all did something. Maybe it wasn't Little. Well, y'all have done it. I'm sure y'all played there many times,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but that is my home venue. That's where I go now that we're doing this season 2 of this show. Um, we're in like a partnership, so we go backstage a lot and do some backstage segments and fun stuff like that at their
Yeah. Yeah.
events. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it's so good to have you on the show. We are so excited. And as I've been listening. I guess for the past week, I've been listening to Under This Old Hat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's literally it. I don't. Well, I'll just go ahead. We'll just go ahead and start because I have so many questions. I'm a
Okay.
Mark. I'm a '90s country nerd, and I had Billy Dean on last week, and I was always a huge Billy Dean fan, and I was giving him all these stats, and he's like, "Man, you're doing your calling," and I was like, "Well, I think so." It's
Yeah.
but what was okay? I guess the when y'all were going into making this new record, what were y'all wanting to stay true to the Sawyer Brown sound that y'all always had, or I mean, to me it sounded it sounded like Sawyer Brown, but it was so fresh and just so like it took me back,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Um, well, here's the thing. You know, I we we contacted Blake Shelton about producing it,
right.
and man, he called back right away. And he's a '90s nerd as well, and
Oh,
that
is
was
he?
like, oh yeah, and he's a huge Sawyer Brown. I mean, he knows more about Sawyer Brown than I do,
Mm,
and so I told him exactly that. I said, listen, we're not chasing anything. I said,
mm,
I have no dreams of this making current, radio,
right.
country radio. I said, because I ain't chasing that.
Yeah.
I said, because, I spent the career, everybody chasing me. And so I'm not going to chase anybody. So
There you go.
that was the whole goal and we have a huge fan base, and I wanted to feed the machine. I just wanted
Mm,
to go in and do what we do because no one else did that before us and haven't since.
right.
So it was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And that's what we did. And the whole album sounds like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And we
So
shut the video for Under This Old Hat yesterday.
you're
So
kidding?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh
So
man.
we shut that yesterday, and it's really cool because we went for like an '80s MTV like
Oh,
wild, vibe, all the stuff that we do. So
oh
the wild clothes, everything. So
no. Oh man.
yeah.
That's so you were pleased with it.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Okay, so my assumption or thoughts about the new record are correct. It's still because it fed me. It fed my Sawyer Brown fandom. Uh,
Yeah.
well, the songs that I've heard so far. So I'm excited to know that it's that's
Yeah,
awesome, and it's cool
yeah.
knowing that Blake's a '90s nerd too. So
Oh man, I mean, hey, Blake is really, really like smart. Like
yeah,
he's like another level smart. He would hate me saying that,
yep,
but man, he's really, really musical, really, really musical. So it was fun. I mean, he was into it, man. He was the first one at the studio in the morning and the last one to leave at night. He was, it was we recorded it here in Nashville. So he
Okay.
flew in and for a few days and we went old school. We went in the studio and we went in for 3 days from sun up to midnight. So
Man, y'all put the work in, didn't you?
yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it's an awesome. I can't wait to see that video. When do you know? Do you know when the video might drop?
It's going to come out pretty quick because I know everybody's pretty excited about it. Curb wanted it like yesterday, so we we reconnected with Curb for this album,
Okay.
who we'd been with for 30 years. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. How long? When's the last original project y'all did? Do you know?
we did in 2013. We did like just a project and just sold it to the fans on the road. But
Nice.
like studio project, it's been 20 years.
Wow.
Like the studio record. So yeah.
Man, that's crazy. Well, and I'll get to some of this other stuff, but that just reminded me. So within that 20 years, you did a really cool thing with Casting Crowns. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And I remember seeing that. I remember when that record came out. Gosh, that may have been 2004?
It was. Yeah.
It was 2004. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, it was a great record. And when I saw that you had your name on it, I thought, man, this is going to be interesting. And it ended up, I mean, of course, that album, that's one of the biggest selling Christian albums of all time.
Yeah. We literally we made that for like nothing, man.
That's crazy.
And I was calling in favors and but I knew, man. I had a friend of mine who Terry Hemmings, who became the president and CEO of Provident, which is Sony's Christian label. And he said, I'm going to give you your own label, and you find acts and sign them. And so it was a random thing, and I literally somebody gave me a CD of Mark Hall's song "If We Are the Body."
Oh, wow!
And I was blown away. And so we were able to put that together, and man, when God moves, man, he and with them it was like he said, okay, let me show you what I can do, and he sure did with them, man. So that's been a highlight of my musical career.
Wow,
that's associated with them because I still produce all their records.
Okay.
And I still produce all their records, and it's my label. So that's
Mark. I did not. Well, I should have did more. Well, I knew about the first one, but that's why I told my associate producer Matt. I was like, I'm going to ask him about Casting Crowns. He goes, oh, dude, because we were, we were very involved, and I was a youth pastor at one time, and so all of our youth conferences, we'd go, and it'd be, Casting Crowns were there several times, and
that's Mark's. Let me tell you this. This is the coolest thing. That's Mark's passion. Mark, Casting Crowns, I think, are the biggest selling act of all time. I think something. Yeah. They're up there.
Oh yeah.
And the first question when I called and offered Mark Hall the deal, the only question he had wasn't how many points, how much money, how many albums, whatever. There was none of that. He just said, I have one question. He said, am I still going to be able to be a youth pastor?
Wow.
And I said, sure, man. I said, if we can make this record, you can be anything you want to be. And to this day, he is still a full-time on-staff youth pastor at Eagles Landing in McDonough, Georgia.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. And that was a reputation. When I was heavily involved in that scene, everyone knew in my circle that, he'll fly in after a concert on Saturday night just to be there on Sunday, But
And
yeah,
that's true. That's not, that's not, and that's not like he did that one time.
Oh,
That's him, every week.
it's impressive. That is impressive.
Yeah.
That's almost 20 years. Next year will be 20
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
that he's been doing it.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Well, that's cool. I used to lead worship for North Point out of Atlanta.
Okay. Yeah.
And I would travel around and do. We were based out of Athens, Georgia. I would do the Athens campus, but just yeah, I sang a lot of Casting Crowns songs.
Yeah. So do I. So
That's
do I, man.
Oh, well, one more question about that. Do you know Jason Horde?
My boy.
Are you kidding me right now?
Oh
My
man,
goodness.
Jason's my guy. And Jason helps me on every Casting Crowns record. I don't think there's been a record,
Yeah.
because sometimes I won't be able to get to, we set up a studio in Mark's basement so we could,
Okay.
because he has to be down there so much.
Yeah.
But Jason will record stuff for me and help me. Jason's,
so crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason he's produced two of my he produced my country EP and my a Christian album that I did. So I've known Jason for years.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to text him in a little bit.
Yeah, what a good dude, man. I love him. I love him, man.
Okay. Because I feel like I remember him telling me that y'all work together, but that's small world right there.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's keep on rolling. But yeah, Jason's a hoot. Now, you also released, I watched the trailer twice last night, for the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Now, y'all have a documentary coming out, and so it's in support of that record and everything, right?
Next year's our 40-year anniversary.
Wow.
So we've been it's 40 years since the release of Leona and Step That Step and Star Search, the very first,
Mm-hmm.
that was really when, the band was together a couple years before that. But as far as what the public knows, it's 40 years since the release of the first record and Star Search. So there's a book coming out called The Boys and Me, on my life story. And then the documentary's coming out on the band. And then in March, the new record will drop, and it's called Desperado Troubadours.
That's a killer name, by the way.
Yeah.
Desperado Troubadours. I love the name of that album. Are y'all gonna? Will there be a tour called the Desperado Troubadours tour?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The whole tour next year will be the Desperado Troubadours tour.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's exciting. It'll end up being probably 90 to 100 cities. We've already got I think 60 or 70 cities, and they're continuing to book. We'll do all of the U.S. and all of Canada.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's good. We got that's crazy, because we got our stats in yesterday for week 1 of our return, and Canada is one of our huge markets.
We'll do 20 cities in Canada next year.
Oh man. Yeah. That's awesome. I've got buddies there, but I've never been, and I've heard it's beautiful.
Sweetest people in the world, man.
Yeah.
Good folks, into music, really, really, they know everything about the band. Like when you go in and when I do interviews, not unlike you, they really, really know, the band and the history, and so it's pretty cool.
So you like that when it's not like a normal regular interview.
Because otherwise we go on automatic pilot.
Oh, exactly. I tell you, that's awesome, because so our first guest, in 2018, I was flying to Colorado, and just to get away, I was a teacher and all that, but I had a break coming up, and I thought, all right, God, I'm going to fly off by myself to the Colorado Rockies, and I'm going to spend a few days. I need some clarity. I need to know what's next, and I just wanted to, spend some time with the Lord out in the Rocky Mountains. And
Yeah.
so on the plane ride there, I thought to myself, I've got all these awesome connections in Nashville. My mentor was John Barry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And so he mentored me for a few years. I traveled with him and his wife, and he was great. And he gave a lot of business mentorship, especially.
Yeah.
And so I thought, what if I just started a podcast where I interview 80s and 90s country music stars? And I knew that Terry Clark had one, backstage Opry or whatever, but I
Yeah.
thought, what if I
I've
did it
done
from
hers.
huh?
I've done hers. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet. And
Yeah.
I thought, what if I just started, so I did. I started without a deal or without iHeart and all that. Well, after 2020, I had stopped it because I was, it did well, but after a couple of years, I was like, I can't keep doing this and working all the time and all that. So, fast forward to this past summer, boom, it just kind of landed in my lap with a friend from iHeart, and I now I have like a machine behind me,
Sure. Oh
and
yeah.
so
It's a big difference, man, when
it
you
is,
got
and
distribution.
it is, and I said, I was like, a few times in my life I can point to, as a believer, I've always known, it's always been funny. Everybody waits on that neon sign just to fall. Well, a neon sign actually fell in my lap, and I thought, if I don't pursue it this time, So anyway, Lori Morgan was our first guest in 2018, and then Lori was our first guest for this season. Well, this ties back into what you said about different types of interviews. And I hung out and interviewed her a few weeks ago backstage, and what was supposed to be 8 minutes long, just 8 minutes, turned into 32 minutes.
Yeah.
Her manager come up to me and said, Brit, she's so tired of just autopilot.
Yeah. Right.
What you did tonight, and because we were cutting up and laughing and talking about stuff,
Yeah.
and it went so good that she gave me another hour and a half a week later. So I had 2 hours of content with Lori, and so, but the point being, she liked it so much because it's just laid back. It's laid back,
Right.
and I want to do it from a fan perspective. But anyway, that took 10 minutes to go around the world telling you that, but
Yeah, that's okay.
yeah. But anyway, so The Boys and Me is the memoir, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about that because I'm fascinated by artists who write books, and tell their stories, and so I'm fired up about that, no doubt. The documentary premiered in October 1st at the Nashville Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did y'all go to that, or was that?
Yeah. We did something that really was actually pretty cool. So we played the film, and then when the film was over, the screen raised, and all of us, the originals, Bobby came back, Duncan, everybody was on stage.
Wow.
And the fans lost their minds.
They didn't know.
That no one knew. And we did like a 10-song unplugged acoustic set.
Oh.
And it was cool. So all the originals, and then Duncan and everybody had come back, and it was pretty cool, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, did y'all record those 10?
We did.
Oh.
And we're going to release that. We filmed it. I wanted it filmed and recorded. So we're going to release that as well. And there was, when Bobby left the band, we hadn't really talked in years. And there was some healing that went on, man.
Yeah.
That just that day, because he came in and we all got to hang, and so it was some pretty cool time.
That just gave me cold chills.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I love that healing. I can't wait for that. Goodness.
Yeah.
And then What's crazy, Mark, is that 40th anniversary. I believe it's this year or next year. Winona's doing her 40th. Starting in January, Lori's doing her 40th. She's doing her. It's called the Ruby Tour. And then I think there's another artist that are about to embark on their 40th. I can't remember if it's Shenandoah or who, but it's like several of y'all are about to embark on, celebrating 40 years in the business.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, for me, sometimes it seems like it was 80 years ago, and then sometimes it seems like it was yesterday, so, you kind of go in waves, because we just haven't quit. This year we will surpass 6,000 shows.
So wow.
We've just been road dogs.
Uh,
and I think we just very humbly can't believe that we still have gotten to do this at the level that we have and continue to. That's what has been the blessing for us. And that's what motivates us is the fans.
Wow.
And this is interesting. I do a survey during the show. I will stop and say, okay, I said, I want to know, be honest with me. How many folks have never, ever seen our band? Every show, half of the audience will raise their hand.
That's crazy.
So we're 40 years in, and we have people who've never seen the band, and it's a majority every night. So it's like we are collecting more fans as we go along. So that's been pretty cool.
What do you think caused, especially y'all, why did y'all, like, let's just say 90s? What made the 90s, and why is 90s country, it's like its own genre. I mean, 90s country is not only is it on a resurgence, but it's basically its own genre of music, 90s country. Why does 90s country stand out from most decades, Mark, do you think?
Well, I think this, you always have to have a couple of cornerstones. And I think, I think pop music was changing. So there was, so there was this kind of, it seemed like almost a pause. Pop didn't know what it was going to be. We come out of, the 80s, we were fortunate to come out of the 80s. So because, we that was the knock on us, is that we were too rock for country. And we dress like the Rolling Stones, and so you come into the 90s. I think everybody was searching for something, musically, and you come in with this new blend, country radio. Then decided, okay, really after the walk, they looked at us different. So I had written Some Girls Do, and I knew. I recorded that 3 times and went to Muscle Shoals and recorded it.
Oh,
and it was fantastic, but it was I knew it was too rock. And it's of all the hits that we've had, it's the only one that I knew was a hit.
Really?
I really knew that song could be something.
And it was.
So I came back to Nashville and recorded it, and it was too country for me.
Really? Okay.
I felt like it was in Shoals. I felt like it was too rock for radio, and then come back here and record it again with some different players. And then it was too country for me. I just thought, it's more than that. So then I brought some guys up from Shoals. I brought some of our guys in from Sawyer Brown, and I flew in a guy named JD Manis from LA, who was a steel guitar player.
Oh, wow.
And JD played with, everybody from Linda Ronstadt to the Eagles. And so, but he had this California style of steel.
Session player, like he was known for being a
he was the guy that had that California sound, and I love that.
Yeah.
So I put all that together, and the record that you hear today was that group of people.
Wow.
But but getting back to the 90s, so the door was opening for I think just more diversity within the sound of country music. So now all of a sudden enters a guy named Garth Brooks and then Shania Twain.
Mm-hmm.
So now and you've got these huge cornerstones that it created a rising tide
Mm-hmm.
that really all of us were able to ride off of that.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it was Garth Brooks who really led the way for the rest of us. I mean, just that's just when you look at the landscape then, and that's why I think 90s country, you needed somebody like that. In the 80s, Kenny Rogers was that guy who really the tide rose around country music and brought in a bigger fan base. And I think then Garth just went ahead and just took it over the top. Garth was a tsunami. He wasn't a tidal wave. He was a tsunami. He just lifted everything and boom. And we all rode that. We all rode that ride.
Yeah. Well, I love your answer. That's I usually ask everybody that on the show what made it stand out, and that's the most unique answer yet. And that just it paints a picture in my mind of what you just said. He that tidal wave and
Shania sold 27 million records
off one album, right?
Yeah, on one album. Yeah. So if you look at that, that's introducing, and they were brilliant. Mutt was brilliant because they would go and he would remix those records and send them to Europe as pop records.
Yeah.
And he, put a fiddle and a steel over here and release them to country. But that's how much country was expanding.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, and to think what she did for like female artists, Dina Carter came out with that first album, 5 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like in 98, Faith came out with Breathe, and that was like a diamond record. So yeah, that makes sense. The tidal wave. And but I mean, saying y'all had a tidal wave, but y'all were what y'all did was turn into gold, turn into platinum, awards, and I mean y'all were a machine as well, especially with country bands.
When it got rolling, man, it was a lot of fun because we had never experienced that. Especially coming out of the 80s where we were just, we'd have a hit and then we'd have 3 that weren't, and we'd have another big hit. Fortunate for us, Step That Step, The Race Is On, and The Walk were big records that could sustain us that downtime.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until the 90s that we kind of got on a roll. And
so y'all were the opening act for a few years right there when y'all had those late 80s. Were y'all opening up a lot, or had y'all start headlining?
Well, this is what happened with us, man. We were really fortunate, man. Kenny Rogers took us out after Star Search. Kenny had seen us on Star Search.
Oh, wow.
So he took us out on his tour, and then he was the biggest in the world.
No doubt.
And then that parlayed into the Islands in the Stream tour with he and Dolly Parton. So we were out with Kenny and Dolly for about a year and a half.
Whoa. Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. So we were playing in front of 20 to 40,000 people a night. We would play all the stadiums, the domes, the big arenas. So we did that. So we had been on TV for a solid year with Star Search. And now we're out on this Kenny Dolly tour, and for a year and a half. So we created a big fan base. So we go from that, and that was about 86, 87.
Mm-hmm.
We go into those years, and really we were pushing the envelope as because I knew we couldn't be Alabama because there already was an Alabama. Mm-hmm. I decided we're going to be the Rolling Stones of country music.
Mm-hmm.
So we were really pushing that, and a lot of times we pushed it too far, especially, making records. It was a little much at the time, but we had this huge fan base, so we kind of had to go out and headline because we opened for George Strait once, and George loved us, but he goes, "Man, I ain't gonna follow that.
Can't follow it." Yep.
And it wasn't, it was such a different energy.
Yeah.
Because I'm the biggest George Strait fan on the planet, but it wasn't a good chemistry, and we found out, it's funny because we did a lot of shows with Reba, and it worked.
Really?
It worked with Reba. Yeah. So there's sometimes you never knew what was going to work and what didn't. But for the most part, the traditional artist didn't want the difference in the energy and the look and the culture. So we ended up just kind of doing our own thing for the most part.
I was just reminded of this past January. We were in Hiawassee, and we went to see Tanya, and I just remember her mentioning y'all. She can't, she's hilarious, but in the middle of the show, she's talking about, I've been here so many times, up here in Hiawassee, and I think the last time I was here, who was I with? Like Sawyer Brown, and I said, I'll definitely go on first. I ain't following them. She did. I remember her saying that now. Yeah. So that's funny. But y'all were also, what year was it y'all were nominated? Was it the CMAs or ACM for Entertainer of the Year? Like it was.
It was late. I mean, we only won Group of the Year one time.
Yeah.
And it was way beyond when I probably we should have it. And I always say people just finally said, let's just give it to them so they'll go home, man.
I remember when y'all were nominated for the big one.
But we were nominated a lot.
For the Entertainer?
I think one time Entertainer.
I remember that night though, about the Entertainer, and I was because it was a shock because I used to follow the awards back when I cared about the awards. You know what I mean?
I never did. I have to be honest, man.
Yeah.
Everybody would say, well, are those exciting, everything? And I would have to be honest and say, man, I hated them.
Yeah.
I hated them. And here's why. Because, just from talking to me, I really tried to be a man of faith my whole life.
Yeah.
So we already get to do something for a living that we are so incredibly blessed to get to do. Yet we're all going to march into an auditorium and have this competition of who's going to be the best that year. It was so ridiculous. The thought of that is so ridiculous to me that I was embarrassed. I was literally embarrassed that we're all in here. And also everybody would act different than they would when we were out, because it's like now we're competing against each other and it's a popularity contest.
That's exactly
it. It really has nothing to do with what we do for a living.
That's so true.
And what we're blessed to do. So I hated them. I was embarrassed to show up and everybody's parading around, and I don't know. I just had a whole different opinion.
Especially when they zoom in and Alabama, Sawyer Brown, and then that has
and
to
we're
be.
Buddies and we're pals. It's like
that's the coolest answer.
Just let us get in here and everybody get up and sing some songs and clap and have a good time, man.
Yeah, that's my favorite award show was the TNN Music City News Country Awards, the fan voted one. Yeah, that was always a fun one.
We won that so many times. We won that about 7 or 8 years in a row. That so many times that
there you go.
I think they changed the name of. I think they wanted to move on.
Well, they shouldn't do fan voted because but it shows fans. That's the one I used to take as that was the real one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me make sure I've covered everything. I'm so excited to start promoting this interview because I want people to be aware of Desperado Troubadours, the songs. So there's 2 singles out right now that people can go and listen to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get me to the stage on time.
Yep.
Which is also the title of the film.
Right. So,
yep.
So that's awesome.
And
then Under This Old Hat.
Yeah.
And so that was co-written by Cody Jinks and Tennessee Jet.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And they also co-wrote the 2 we wrote together was Desperado Troubadours and
sweet.
And Under This Old Hat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boy, I can't wait to hear Desperado Troubadours. That just sounds like a cool song.
Yeah.
Now the video, I remember this video coming out, and that's when I knew that, man, that's got to be a high energy show. I started going to country concerts when I was 9. My very first concert was at Dollywood, and that was Little Texas.
Okay.
And I was always a fan of country music bands and groups. I was always a fan of that. But when The Boys and Me came out, that video, and it showed the live, the live performance, y'all had not the runway, but the silver, the steps, the up, all kinds of.
We had the slides, we had the conveyor belts.
Yes.
That was shoot us across stage, and yeah.
I mean, my goodness, y'all were kicking it, dude.
That was when we were, this was going to be our first big headline tour, that we had our own production and so we had seen Madonna that had these treadmills.
Oh.
And so one of the guys, because these huge production companies, they all do all these tours, and this guy, one of the guys in the meeting goes, "Guys, I know where those treadmills are. She just did it." She goes, "He just did it that one tour. I know where those treadmills are. I can get you those treadmills." So we went and got those treadmills, and they were Madonna's. And so they would shoot me all the way across stage. And then I started to incorporate like dance moves and stuff, to where it was look like you were moving, like I could do the moonwalk and not really have to do it.
Yes. How long did it take you to learn? I mean, I'd be falling, I feel like.
Well, we would practice. We actually rented. That video was shot in St. Joe, Missouri, because we rented that hall up there. It was a little 5,000 seat arena.
Yeah.
And we rented that for like a week, and we went in and rehearsed the tour, and then I was able to experiment with the treadmills and figure all that out.
Man, that is the coolest story, by the way.
Hey, so I will. Speaking of the treadmills, we always, just to entertain ourselves, we were pranksters always. And I don't know if he knows this to this day, but so we took Tracy Lawrence out
on that tour.
On one of the tours, we took Tracy. We had Tim McGraw out for a while. We had Toby Keith out for we had Toby out for over a year, and then but we would have like Mark Chestnut. We'd have Tracy Lawrence and some of these other guys, but we would always prank each other and have fun. So the treadmill. So what? Because Tracy's opening act, they set up. We go in and set our gear up, then they set up. Mm-hmm. So Tracy, his microphone stand was on the treadmill. So Tracy sometimes would close his eyes when he would sing.
Yeah.
So I would be over with my thing on the treadmill, and so when you're seeing, like, I got my hand in. So when you're seeing this, all of a sudden I would just move it. He would close his eyes and I would go like this. I would just move it, and it would be off center, and he'd open his eyes and he would be like, then he would go over here, and then he would close it, and then I'd move it a little again, and he would open it, and he never knew. he never figured it out. And it would be so slight that, the crowd really wouldn't know it either. But everybody in the wings would be it would just be hooting and hollering, man.
Oh man, that's classic. That's so cool. You answered my next. I was going to ask you, who'd y'all take out with y'all?
We had Tim out because we were on the same label, and man,
yep.
Tim had just had Indian Outlaw out, and it was pretty cool because that song was just a big impact record for him.
Mm-hmm.
But he would play it at the end of his set, so he would have like 25 or 30 minutes, and he would get just an okay response up until he played that song.
You're right.
So after the first night or second night, I said, Tim, come here. I said, listen, what I want you to do is play one song, and then I want you to go into the intro to Indian Outlaw, play it, and they're going to go nuts, and then stop and go, hey, folks, I only got one big hit, and I just wanted to tease you, and so he did that, and the place went crazy, but then they were really into his stuff until he got back to Indian. Then they were just anticipating, and then by the time he started again, they would explode. But it let him know, who I am.
Oh man,
So and his band actually told me he did that for years, even afterwards.
Oh man, that's some good but that that's mentor. That's good advice that you were able to share with him,
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
and we had Toby out for over a year, and he was the best.
Did you see? I think the past 3 nights in Vegas, he's sold out. Like he's been performing like 2 or 3 nights now.
I'm flying out tomorrow to see his last show. Yeah. I'm flying out in the morning. Tomorrow night is his last show, so I'm going out to that show and hang out with him. So I'll see him tomorrow night.
Like his last show is in.
Well, the last show for this year.
For this, okay.
Who knows? He's battling some stuff.
Oh, I know it. Yeah.
And he's rocking, but I'm just going to go out.
That's good.
And
so you're still buddies, huh?
Oh man, I love Toby. I love Toby Keith.
Wow.
He's the best. He's genuine and authentic.
And he's a great songwriter, isn't he?
Oh, I always thought with Toby that that got overshadowed by other stuff. But my man can write a song.
Mm-hmm.
He's a songwriter.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And well, heck, he's written just about every hit he's had. I think there's only just a handful.
Yeah.
Actually, do you know Scott Reeves?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. That's a friend of mine, and I know that he had wrote "Made in America" for him. But because Scott told me, he's like, Brit, he's written there's less than you can count on one hand how many he hadn't written.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, Mark, this has been incredible. This has been so much fun. It's already been 45 minutes, and it's I didn't realize what I wasn't even planning on asking you about Jason Horde, and I tell you, it just hit me because when I started asking about Casting Crowns, is when I thought, oh, I wonder if he knows Jason. And
do you know John Waller?
Yeah.
I produced John's couple albums on John.
Now, what did I just see about him past a couple of weeks ago? I think I saw he's releasing.
Yeah, I think he's doing a lot of stuff on social media and releasing some stuff. And his kids sing now. His kids have a group, and they're really good.
That's really, awesome.
Really good.
Yeah. He's one of Jason's big buddies.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's so cool. That's crazy. Casting Crowns was just here in Hiawassee, I guess a month ago or so.
Yeah,
they're coming. Yeah. So that's really neat. Now, did Stephen Curtis, was he part of that project, or is he still
He was
working with y'all?
part. He and Mark wrote a couple songs, and
Okay.
he co-produced a couple on the first album.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you? Do you keep up with him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Our families are real close.
Nice.
All of our kids went to school together. So we vacationed together.
Oh, nice.
And yeah. So Stephen Curtis and I are real close.
I've always been a huge fan of him.
Oh, what
I
a
used to
talent.
sing his music growing up in church.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited about everything, but the memoir is what I'm so super pumped about. Like I said, I read, and I love reading biographies and memoirs. Are there some things in there that the fans will be pleasantly surprised to read? Or
yeah, I think so.
Good.
And also I'm able to talk a lot about my faith.
See, that's important.
So that's that's been really important to me my whole life. And so it's a lot about the band, but even within the band, the times when faith has really been an important aspect of that, and the direction and decisions, and but really a lot about my early life, and my mom was a single mom, and I think there will be some things that are interesting that the fans will find interesting about my life before Sawyer Brown as well.
No doubt. That's it's so. I'll close with this, but we just a couple months ago at the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds in Hiawassee, we had the fall festival. So every night there's usually a 90s artist that comes in, and so Jody Messina, she played, and she testified, did an Ann Wilson cover, and there were literally around 3,000 people raising their hands in the middle of her concert.
Yeah.
And then a couple nights later, Marty Raven, Shenandoah, middle of the concert, he starts kind of testifying, telling. And I love that. I love that. I thought, how cool is it that you got what a platform to, even if it's just it's just a cool platform to share. And the country fans there's so many country artists that have had a faith background, and you can hear it in some of their songs and when they're interviewed. So I love that about country music.
You mentioned Marty. I got to tell you a quick story, man.
Love him.
All right. So Marty, my mom was the president of our fan club forever.
Oh, wow.
And so at fanfares and events, Marty and my mom became really close. And my mom was just this incredible believer. I mean, within 15 minutes of meeting my mom, she's going to find out if you're a Christian, and if you're not, you're going to get a good talking to. And so she always, and I knew her and Marty were, he was really nice to my mom. I knew that. So my mom had always told me that Marty was going to sing at her funeral. And I said, well, and just in passing, and so my mom, the year before COVID, my mom passed away. And I'm just, we're just trying to, when those things happen, you're just trying to figure everything out. And so we're the funeral's all set and everything. And man, about 15 minutes before the funeral starts, in through the back door walks Marty, and he's got his guitar in his hand. And
wow. And you didn't know?
No. He said, man, I told you, Mama, I'd sing Beulah Land. And man, it was like, I just, that goes to show, that, I think that the kind of, number one, the kind of guy Marty is, but also just within all of us, country music, and everybody that you've mentioned on your show already, we all know each other.
Right.
And we all support each other. We were there, and and so there's definitely a camaraderie and a family, you know. Jody, when you mentioned Jody, you know, she opened for us, you know, and we go to the same church. So,
oh wow.
So, you know, so there's, you know, this definite connection, but I just wanted to say that about Marty.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I love him, and he's coming on the show, I think in January, but he's, I so much respect and admiration for him. And that boy can sing.
Oh, yeah, he can. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Thank you for sharing that. That's a great testament to who your mom was.
Yeah.
And a great testament to the man that Marty is. What you see is what you get.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had him twice on the show, and each time he preaches a little bit, and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much, Mark. This has been a thrill. I hope y'all are coming to Georgia on that tour.
I'm sure we will. We usually make that stop, so I'm sure we will.
That would be cool. I'd love to see that the 40th anniversary tour for sure. And I can't wait to tell Jason that I hung out with you today.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
All right, man. Well, you take care, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
Bye.
Roping the wind every Friday night, singing those songs, living our lives with all our friends down in the lowest places. We would ride around with the tailgate down, rodeo playing in the background. All those memories we were making. We never went down until the sun came up. Papa loved and Mama blasting in my truck. I was calling Baton Rouge. Shameless, it never got old. I still hear that thunder roll. It's where I've been. It's made me who I am. Somebody play me those songs again. Well, the whole town cried the day Nolan died. We sang to dance at his last goodbye. And up the river, his vessel will sail on, just to relive all our glory days, singing those songs, all the noise we made that summer. I wanna ride around those tracks again. Yeah, we never went down until the sun came up. Papa loved and Mama blasting in my truck. I was calling Baton Rouge. Shameless Yeah, we ain't going down until the sun comes up. Papa loved Mama blasting in my truck, and I'm still calling Baton Rouge. Shameless, it'll never get old. I still hear that thunder roll. It's where I've been, it's made me who I am. Somebody play me those songs again. If tomorrow never comes, I wonder what she's doing now. I'm much too young. Oh, play me those songs